Carmen's POV, the Montana air tasted cleaner than anything I had ever known. I rolled down the windows of the SUV as we drove, gravel kicking up behind the wheels. The land here smelled of pine, cold water, and fresh earth. It was perfect, quiet, safe. 15 acres, Yasmeen muttered from the passenger seat, scanning their new property with calculating eyes. Enough space to be free and hidden. I nodded, my hands gripping the steering wheel. I wasn't scared, just cautious. Always have been. Especially after Darius. Especially knowing what I really am. No one in the rogue pack knew what I was. Not even the leader, Darius, who had made it his mission to possess me. He only saw me as a pretty wolfless female, one he could conquer and use to prove something. I never shifted in view of the pack. Yasmeen and I wanted anonymity, so we slipped away under moonlight, leaving our rogue pack behind. I knew we would be hunted. The past would come hunting one day. "Do you think they'll find us here?" I asked, stepping out of the SUV. Yasmeen exhaled slowly. "They can try, but we'll be ready if they do." I gave a tight smile, brushing a hand through my curls. "Still, we keep our eyes open." I replied, "Always." Yasmeen replied, "Yasmeen's POV." It was the silence that bothered me the most. Montana's quiet was unlike Arizona's angry heat or the rogue pack's constant barking commands. It was stillness, like waiting before a kill. We removed our belongings from the SUV and stood in front of the old barn-style house with my hands on my hips. "I can see why the walkers were so eager to sell. This place looks like it was frozen in a time capsule." Carmen chuckled. "It's a good thing. Now we can do what we do best." A satisfying grin crossed my face. Carmen. She was the architect, working with angles and lines. Me? I was color, texture, and vibrancy. "Is this place even listed on Google Maps?" I asked, as we later drove through the town's center. "I think I counted only 4 traffic lights." Fuck! I rolled my eyes. Ludneck, Montana was a far cry from Phoenix, Arizona. Carmen sensed the presence of other wolves, but no rogues. Wary, we could feel eyes the moment we stopped at a randomly placed traffic light in town. Humans and wolves. "You sure we should have come here?" I asked. "This place gives us the space to change and run with no prying eyes. Plus, our nearest neighbor is at least 10 miles away. It'll just take some getting used to," Carmen replied. "I think we just tipped the scale of diversity," I said sarcastically. "We just need to register with the postal office and grab some food. Then we can head back home," Carmen said. I nodded. Antonio's POV, I immediately smelled a sweet scent when the newbies walked into the diner. The newcomers walked in like they owned the place. No fear, no care. "Just find an open table anywhere, and I'll be right over to take your order," yelled a round, middle-aged waitress. As they walked to a table in the far corner, everyone in the diner stared at them. The shorter, thicker one walked like a leader, just half a pace in front of the other one. I noticed every flick of the tall one's eyes, the way she scanned the windows and exit, like a soldier. She caught me staring. "What can start for you, ladies? The coffee is fresh. I just put on a fresh pot." The bubbly waitress pointed her pencil to the pot of coffee behind the counter that was percolating. "We're new here, so not sure what's good. What do you recommend?" the tall one asked, still noticing I was watching them. "Are you ladies passing through?" Emily asked. "No, we just moved here. We bought a house off Mill Trail." "Oh, it was you guys. We heard the walkers finally got a buyer. Welcome to Ludneck. My name is Emily. You can find me here pretty much every day. We love to see new, fresh faces." "Thank you," replied the shorter one. "Just curious, do you guys not get a lot of black folks passing through here?" the tall one asked. "Yasmeen," exclaimed the short one. "What? I'm just asking. Folks seem to be staring at us," Yasmeen said, intentionally motioning over in my direction. "I'm so sorry about that. Don't mind him. We don't get a lot of new faces here. We do have other black folks here. The Hendersons. They are a sweet bunch. Emily commented, "Oh, okay, cool. Well, as you just heard, I'm Yasmeen, and she's Carmen. So what do you recommend, Emily?" "Nice to meet you, ladies. And again, welcome to Ludneck. We have the fluffiest pancakes on this side of Montana. I think you'll enjoy them." "Awesome. We'll take 2 orders of that. Carmen will have egg whites and I'll have my eggs scrambled. 2 glasses of orange juice also." "Thank you, Emily," Yasmeen ordered, then handed the menus back to Emily. When Emily went behind the counter to yell their order to the cook in the back, Carmen looked at Yasmeen. "Girl, you are something else," barely holding in a chuckle. "Oh, what?" throwing her hands up. "I know you were curious too. Hell, we're darker than the toast on those people's plate over there. Plus, everyone was looking like they just saw Beyoncé walk in or something." Carmen threw her head back in laughter. I could hear their entire conversation over the chatter of the diner. She is beautiful and apparently gives no fucks. My wolf started to purr. I was focused on her. My wolf never got so worked up for anyone like that before. I leaned back in the booth, unable to take my eyes off her. I couldn't stop staring. She's beautiful. Her lips were full, tits sat up so perky, and an ass you can bounce a quarter off of. Her scent is unique. I can tell she's a wolf, but there's something else. I can't put my finger on it. I mind-linked with Austin. "Bro." "Hey, what's up?" Austin replied. "We have some new blood in town. 2 female wolves. I don't recognize their scent. I can't tell where they're from." I responded. There was a pause. "Yeah, I sensed a shift earlier. Where are they now?" Austin asked. "In the diner. And brother, one of them has my wolf on edge." "Antonio, I'm sure you just want to get in her panties." "No, I'm serious. My wolf has been restless since she walked in, and not in a bad way." "Okay, I'm on my way. Tell Emily to put my order in. I'll be there in about 10 minutes. Carmen's POV. When the door of the diner opened, I noticed a shift in the air. My wolf was on full alert. Yasmeen noticed the change in my face. Yasmeen mind-linked me. "What's wrong, Carmen?" "The guy that just walked in. There's something about him. We need to go. Now." Without hesitation, Yasmeen motioned for Emily. "Can you bring us the check, please? Thank you." "Did you ladies not like the food? You barely touched it?" Emily asked, looking disappointed. "It was good. You were right. The pancakes are nice and fluffy. We just forgot we have to get home for a conference call with a client. We lost track of time." Yasmeen lied. "Oh, okay, no problem. Well, here's the check. Should I bring you guys a to-go box?" Emily asked in a disappointed tone. I put $50 on the table before Emily could walk away. "The rest is yours, no need for the change or the box. The food was so delicious. Since it's freshly made, reheating it wouldn't be the same." I began gathering my purse and quickly stood up from my seat. "Thank you so much. Are you sure? That's the same price as the check." Emily was surprised by the large tip. "We just loved your personality. You were the first to welcome us here. So thank you," Yasmeen replied as she was getting up from the table. My wolf growled as we walked by their booth on the way to the door. "Oh my goodness, what the fuck was that?" I thought to myself. Yasmeen jumped in the driver's seat and peeled off. "Did you feel that?" asked Yasmeen. "Yeah. I think the one that came in is an alpha. We will need to keep our guard up. My wolf shuddered when we walked by," I said worriedly. "Yeah, mine wanted to change," replied Yasmeen. "Well, at least we know they're not humans." Later that night, Yasmeen locked every door and window. She prowled the outer perimeter of the house twice before going to bed. I stood by the glass patio doors, looking out into the vast darkness, then said, "I'll be glad when we are done remodeling this house. Thankfully, the alarm system and the outdoor cameras arrived tomorrow." "Not needed. I'm better than any alarm system," Yasmeen said smugly. Yeah, 'cause you're nuts. Good night, Yas, I said as I headed upstairs to my bedroom. Good night, she said, laughing. Yasmeen's POV. While comparing prices between the penne and elbow pasta boxes, I noticed the familiar scent in the grocery store. Shit, I think he's here, I thought to myself. My wolf was on edge. Austin and Antonio walked in the grocery store. One of them is here, Antonio said as he casually sniffed the air. Yeah, I can tell. My wolf is stirring. I guess we'll soon find out which one. I can only smell one of them, replied Austin. I grabbed 3 boxes of penne pasta and threw them into the shopping cart. I headed towards the registers, noticing the 2 men standing near the entrance, the same ones from the diner. Carmen will kill me if a fight breaks out here. I hope they don't say anything to me. I don't need this shit today, I thought to myself. Carmen. I mind-linked her. Yeah. I think I may have a situation. What's wrong? Where are you? Carmen asked nervously. I'm at the grocery store, and those same 2 guys from the diner last month are here, and they are standing at the entrance of the store. I think they are waiting for me. I said, Damn, you have the SUV. It would be faster if I ran in my wolf form, but it's broad daylight and you're in the town center, Carmen said frantically. Carmen didn't like when she couldn't get to me. She knows if anything happens, I can take care of myself. But we always have each other's back. She doesn't like it when she cannot be there to make sure things don't escalate with my wolf. After putting the groceries bags in the cart, I headed towards the entrance. Okay, I'm walking in their direction now. Please be careful, Yasmeen. Excuse me, gentlemen. You're blocking the entrance. I can fit between you 2, but my cart can't. I said without making eye contact with either of them. Without moving, Antonio asks, You're Yasmeen, right? Sarcastically, I asked, Who's asking? I'm Antonio Salvino, and this is my brother Austin Palmer, Antonio replied, pointing at Austin. Damn, not Austin Palmer, thinking to myself. I immediately recognized the names. Austin is the alpha to Cedar Crestwood pack, the largest and most dangerous pack in the West. Him and his beta are known to be ruthless, savage fighters. They don't allow their opponent to yield, they just kill. I keep my face expressionless. Okay. Now that we are all on a first-name basis, do you mind moving so I can get to my car? I don't want my ice cream to melt, I said flatly. Austin looks at me with irritation on his face. You have a mouth on you, don't you? He asks. I didn't meet his gaze, but I know I cannot ignore him because he is an alpha. Some say I do, but I think I am mostly misunderstood. But I really need to get going, guys. This was the last caramel pecan ice cream, and if it melts, it won't hit the spot like I need it to. I responded. I couldn't afford to anger him. Antonio finally steps to the side. I could feel his wolf becoming restless as I walked by. His grin faltered when he caught the scent beneath my perfume. I can hear his heart beating rapidly. I sped up as I walked past them. If you don't mind me asking, what are you wearing? Antonio asks, barely keeping his wolf in check. Clothes, I shout over my shoulder as I'm practically jogging to the SUV. I heard Austin laugh. Antonio stood there completely caught off guard. He was not expecting that response. Carmen's POV. Yasmeen, are you okay? I asked through our mind link while pacing the front yard. Yes, I'm here. I'm okay, girl. We have shit to discuss when I get to the house. I didn't like the sound of that. This can't be good. I could hear the worry in Yasmeen's tone. 45 minutes later, Yasmeen pulled up to the dirt driveway. Before she could get out of the car, I ran towards the driver's door. Are you okay? We definitely need to get another car. One won't do. I'm okay. Breathe. You look like you're gonna throw up. Yasmeen tried to calm me down. After putting all of the groceries away, Yasmeen sat at the dining room table. So I know who those 2 guys are, and you won't believe it, she stated. I held my breath, waiting for her to continue. The alpha is Austin Palmer, and the other guy is his beta, Antonio Salvino. The color drained from my face. You mean the Austin Palmer? Yup, the one and only. We moved into Cedar Crestwood's territory, Yasmeen replied, then let out a deep sigh. Damn. Do you think they know who we are? I asked nervously. Well, Antonio knew my name, but I didn't sense that they knew who or what we really are. She replied, but not feeling entirely confident. We have to be very careful. I will fight to the death if I need to. I will never let anyone harm you. I swear to you, Yasmeen. My wolf was stirring and was suddenly angry, but I didn't know why. I know, Carmen. And you know, I am with you till my last breath. No one, not an alpha or some wannabe rogue leader, will come between us. Austin's POV leaning back in my office chair, I tapped a pen on the desk. Antonio was sitting on a sofa in the office. You know they are rogues, right? Asked Antonio. Yes, they are here alone. I haven't seen or sensed any others since they got here. I stated. That tall one is something else. She's got a mouth on her. Antonio's eyes became glazed. I shook my head. I could tell he was curious about her. A little too curious. She seems like she holds her own. Antonio leaned his head back on the sofa. I think about her all the damn time. I don't know if it's her attitude or that body. She curves all in the right places. Her skin glows like I've never seen before. Like beautiful copper. Shit, he exclaimed. I laughed. You just want to get her into bed. No, brother. A seriousness in Antonio's voice. It's something else. There's something about her. She stirs my wolf in a way that he's never done before. Her scent. It's invigorating. I want to devour her. In a concerned tone, I replied, They must be running from something or someone. You can tell they are from a larger city. No one moves to a place out in the middle of nowhere unless you don't want to be found. I think they are unmated. They both smell fresh, said Antonio. That's going to be a problem with a blood moon coming in a few months. The unmated in our pack will hunt them down and try to mate. I couldn't understand why that made me angry. The thought of anyone touching Carmen made my wolf growl in anger. Next week is a full moon. We haven't had a good run in a while. It'll help us clear our minds, Antonio suggested. I nodded. Carmen's POV. The renovation to the house has finally been completed, and of course Yasmeen's interior design made the place feel like home. You've outdone yourself, Yas, I said, standing in the middle of the living room, looking around at her completed design. Thanks. I have to admit it's my best work yet. Our place looks like it leaped off a page from a magazine. Yasmeen stood with her hands on her hips, admiring her own work. We turned the old barn-style house into a modern, sleek design. It reflected both of our personalities. Thankfully, the building contractors we hired were able to access the supplies we needed for the renovation, and it was completed quickly. Tonight is a full moon. Let's go for a run. We haven't been out since we've been here, I suggested. I saw the glimmer in Yasmeen's eyes when I mentioned a run. Yes, it's been too long since I've let her out. She's been yearning for the wind in her fur, Yasmeen said, beaming, removing the band that held her braids up in a high bun. The moon was full and at its highest in the cool evening sky. We prepared for our run, undressing in the living room, then opened the glass sliding patio doors. I shifted and already started running. Hey, wait for me, Yasmeen exclaimed, shifting mid-run. My white fur glowed in the moonlight, dancing in the wind. Yasmeen caught up quickly. Her fur, a multi-amber ginger hue. We ran through the open fields, maneuvering around tall trees, twigs and branches crackling beneath our powerful paws, running with no destination in mind for what seemed like hours. We came upon a sparkling lake. The slight breeze caused ripples in the midnight blue water, causing the moonlight reflection to look like diamonds dancing across the surface. Standing on the edge, we stood for a few moments to take in the beauty. Transforming back into our human bodies, we ran into the lake like children, giggling and splashing along the way. The water felt so cool against my skin. Yasmeen swam, cutting through the water like an Olympic swimmer. I floated on the surface. My full breasts sat above the water like buoys, sensing other scents in the air, coming in our direction. Yasmeen swam back to my side. Both of us, now floating with just our heads just above the water. It seems we are about to have company. Yes, I can hear the vibrations on the ground. They're coming in fast, I replied, looking in the direction of the approaching group. Something flickered across Yasmeen's face. Concern, alertness, preparedness. Should we shift back? No, let's see who they are first. There they were, 12 wolves at the edge, standing along the shoreline. The two in the center were larger than the others. One midnight black, eyes an ocean blue. Those eyes were beautiful. You could get lost in them if you stare into them too long. The other wolf had a beautiful shading of multiple colors, tan, gray, and brown, similar to Yasmeen's fur. The standoff seemed never-ending. No one moved. Austin's POV. "Brother, do you feel that?" I asked Antonio through our mind link. "Yes, power, determination, and no fear." Then asked, "Should we transform?" "No, let's see what they do first," I said, looking at the women in the water. I stared at Carmen without breaking our gaze. She didn't flinch or bow her head. No one had the audacity to stare into my eyes as an alpha the way she did. I wasn't angry. Normally I would be. Instead, I was intrigued. Then Yasmeen slowly swam to the edge, stood up, and started walking onto the shore, followed by Carmen. They were naked. Antonio let out a small, low growl. He said through the mind link, "Damn, she is beautiful." "They both are. Clearly they ran here. I didn't see any clothes," I replied. I could feel several of the wolves beside us stir. They are unmated, and they could smell the scent coming from the women. But they knew if they broke formation, they were as good as dead from either me or Antonio. I told them through the mind link to create an opening for the women to pass. Carmen walked forward in front, empowered in her beauty. Water dripped off her body, glistening in the moonlight. Her breast bounced as she walked. They were full and round, taunting me, like they wanted to be sucked on, nibbled, held, played with. I couldn't look away. With quickened steps, Yasmeen flanked Carmen's right side. I could hear Antonio's heart hamming against his chest as he watched Yasmeen walk by. I don't know if he took a deep breath or whimpered, but I heard a sound come from him. I can tell his wolf was restless. It took every restraint for him not to lick her back. Carmen and Yasmeen made it into the clearing outside of the woods, then immediately transformed back into wolf form and began running back to their house. Yasmeen's POV back at the house, sitting in the living room. Carmen sipping on a glass of Merlot. That was close. Too close. Yes, but invigorating, I said from the kitchen, making a cocktail. Did you see the look in their eyes when we emerged from the water, all wet and naked? I burst out laughing. You are something else. What am I going to do with you? Carmen responded, giggling. Back in my room, I couldn't sleep. I laid there thinking of the beautiful colors of Antonio's fur. It was similar to mine. I remembered how it had blended and shimmered under the moonlight, his strong features and broad stance. He's probably a great fighter, I said into the night air. The moon was intoxicating. The air, cool. The night, long. I slid my hand under the covers and between my thighs. My other hand squeezed my right nipple. I let my fingers caress my clit. I whispered, Antonio. Then slid 2 fingers into my core, while my thumb moved in a circular motion over my pearl. I couldn't stop moaning his name when I rocked my hips forward. Energy building inside me. Passion vibrating in my abdomen. All I could see was his face in my mind. His scent of frankincense and myrrh filled my mind, moving my hips in a melodic rhythm while my breath caught in my chest. Finally, releasing the pressure in my core, arching my back. Antonio's POV. For such a small town, there were actually things to do. Yasmeen found this surprising. Miller's Billiards had a cool vibe. Typical bar food, large screen TVs playing every sports game, and waitresses wearing cut-off denim shorts and flannel shirts tied around their waist. Leaning over a pool table, Yasmeen lined up to take a shot. She sensed me behind her. "Enjoying the view?" she asked without looking back, then tapped the pool stick to the white ball. The red-striped ball entered the side pocket. "Just seeing how it perfectly lines up. The opening, ready to receive," I responded. I stood behind her far enough to watch her body, yet close enough to take in her scent. I took a swig of my beer while holding a pool stick in my other hand. Yasmeen didn't turn around. Instead, she positioned herself to take another shot from a different angle. Nor did she respond. Damn, that scent. She is driving us crazy. My wolf stirred. "How about we play around?" I asked. She still didn't look up at me. "What makes you think I want to play with others?" "If you're an amateur, I can show you how to play." "I see you're not really that good. That's probably why you choose to play solo." I knew that would definitely get a rise out of her. His comment definitely infuriated me. My wolf snarls at his arrogance. When I finally looked at him, he had that damn grin on his face. Bastard. She turned to look at me, her eyes as cold as ice, then rolled her eyes at me. "We can play 3 rounds. Whomever wins the most rounds wins. If I win, you leave me alone," she said irritably. "And if I win?" I asked. "What do you want?" I can tell she regretted the question as soon as it left those beautiful glossy lips. "You go on a date with me," I replied. She didn't respond, her gaze fixed on me, then took a deep breath and rolled her eyes. The way she rolled her eyes made my cock twitch. She started to line the balls back up to start the game. "Okay, you break 'em." Her voice was crisp, devoid of any emotion. "No, I never break, nor am I ever broken. Plus, you seem to break balls efficiently," I retorted. The stare she gave me was cold. "Fine." Then rolled her eyes again. "You keep rolling your eyes like that, and we're going to have a problem," I said with a smirk. She doesn't know how her sass drives me crazy. She beat my ass. She won all 3 rounds. I was genuinely stunned. I just knew I would win. "Double or nothing?" I asked, cocky as hell. "Why? The first beating wasn't enough? Why would I go another round? You can't seem to handle your stick properly. Mates were supposed to feel like peace. Yasmeen felt like war, and I never wanted a battle more than this one with her. I tell you what, since I am feeling generous for the down and trotted, I will go on that date with you," she said smugly. "Just pick a date and time, and I'll let you know if I'm willing to squeeze you in." So I asked, "Are you free Tuesday night?" "No, I am not. Try again." "Thursday night?" "Try again." "You're making this difficult. I'm starting to think you are just playing with me." I was starting to get irritated. "Think what you want. I am true to my word. If I say I'll go out with you, then I will go out with you. Just not on those days. So, try again." She stared blankly. "How about Friday, then?" "Sounds like a date. I'll be ready at 7 p.m., she said coolly. I tried to suppress my grin. "By the way, I don't do tardiness. If you are so much as 30 seconds late, don't bother to show up. You can pick me up at the old Walker's place," she said, then left the bar. Barely audible. I mumbled under my breath, "You're fucking dangerous." Austin's POV, what is she hiding? She doesn't bow down. She shows no fear. I've never seen a rogue so defiant. I haven't been able to get that night out of my mind. She emerged from the water, so confidently, so defiantly. Her brown skin glistened. The way the water droplets cascaded over her body, she was breathtaking. What I wouldn't do to have my hands caress her body, she looked so smooth, so soft. Alpha. Alpha. I was snapped back to reality. I hadn't realized when one of my subordinates walked into my office, irritated for being taken away from the memory of Carmen's body. "What is it?" I yelled. Gio bowed his head, in fear. "Sorry, Alpha. I just came to report that Alpha Perry of the Grayson Pack received your gift, and he sends his utmost gratitude and regards." Perry was the alpha of a formidable pack in Calgary, Canada. The alliance between our packs stretches back 6 generations. Perry recently married his mate in a private ceremony, so I sent them a wedding gift. "Okay, thank you. Sorry for snapping at you. I just have a lot on my mind. You did well," I replied, then dismissed the subordinate. My mind wandered back to her. I wonder if she will be at the autumn festival. I rarely see her in town. It's mostly Yasmeen that comes into town or runs errands. Yasmeen's POV. He was punctual, I'll give him that. Very punctual. Antonio arrived 30 minutes early. He sat in the living room and waited until I finished getting ready. Antonio surveyed the house, noting it had modern aesthetics. Large modern art hung on the walls, an open kitchen with quartz countertops with a huge island, a few walls replaced with floor-to-ceiling windows, a dining table that seats 8 even though it was just the 2 of them living here, and a backyard decorated with a fire pit in the center. "Sheesh, design work brings in this type of money?" he said to himself. "Yes, it does," I said as I entered the living room. Taken aback, Antonio said, "Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't mean anything by what I said." I retorted. "You look beautiful," he said, looking me up and down. I noticed he stared for a bit. I intentionally wore a vibrant green summer dress that had my sides and back exposed. My braids cascaded down my back, just barely sweeping the top of these rounded cheeks, for added attention, of course. I blushed a bit. "Thank you." It has been ages since I went on a proper date, let alone have a man look at me like that. "Shall we get going?" I asked. Carmen walked in before we approached the front door. "You two behave yourselves," then looked directly at me. "Don't do anything I wouldn't do." I chuckled. "Yeah, right. I plan on doing everything you wouldn't do." I winked, then headed out. On the car ride to the restaurant, he kept the windows closed, even though the night air was invigorating. His Spotify account had Kendrick Lamar blaring in the speakers. Tapping his fingers on the steering wheel, I turned to him and said, "You don't have to play rap just because I'm in the truck." First of all, Kendrick and I have a brotherhood regardless if you are in the truck or not. Secondly, he is one of my favorite rappers, so calm yourself. I looked at him with an eyebrow raised. He continued, "What? Just because I'm white and live in Montana, you think I can't appreciate good music?" Not gonna lie, I am surprised. My apologies. I made assumptions about you without getting to know you. I replied. I truly meant the apology. Apology accepted. He said, grinning to himself. "So what music do you listen to?" I am more into old soulful music. It's calming for me. Plus, I feel like people had real things to say back then. Not this new stuff where everyone sings or raps about the same thing. Not a damn thing. Antonio nodded. I can understand that. So when you say old soul, are you talking about Etta James, Bill Withers, and Aretha? I just stared at him with my mouth open. Did you Google soulful black artists in preparation for this date? Antonio gave me a side-eyed glance. No, I love old school music too. Bob Marley, Motown, you know, the good stuff. Well, I'll be, I said in a surprised tone. I see you don't get out much. Your view of the world is limited. He shot back. I didn't know how to respond to that. He was right. I grew up with adoptive parents in a rogue pack. He didn't know I grew up being teased because I was adopted. He didn't know my only friend, confidant, protector was Carmen for as long as I could remember. Over spaghetti carbonara and chicken Alfredo, we debated over who had the best album, Teddy Pendergrass versus Sam Cooke. So, are we going to talk about some real stuff, or are we going to keep it surface level all night? I asked. What do you want to know? How did you become Austin's beta? I'll answer, if you answer my question in return. I shrugged. Okay, fair enough. Austin and I grew up together. Our mothers were best friends. His father was the previous alpha, and my father was his beta. Because of the bond between Austin and I, it was natural that I would become his beta. Growing up, we got into trouble together all the time. From fights to skipping school to breaking curfew, if you found one, you found the other. So it was inevitable. I loved listening to him speak. His eyes lit up when he talked about his childhood and his friendship with Austin. So, now you. How do two rogue wolves end up buying a house in a remote town in Montana? He asked. The directness of his question caught me off guard. So, we're just jumping into the deep end, I see, I said, trying to decide how much I would share. Yes, and you're stalling. I took a deep breath and began. Similarly, Carmen and I grew up together. We are both from humble beginnings. I was adopted by a loving couple that couldn't have children of their own. I don't know who my birth parents are, and honestly, I don't need to know. My mom and dad loved me like I was their own, so there is no need for me to look elsewhere. I don't feel incomplete. Wow, that's cool, he chimed in. I continued. However, I was teased a lot by the other kids. No one wanted to be around me or play with me. They said if my real parents didn't want me, then there must be something wrong with me. I saw the mood change on his face. Dang, that's harsh. Yeah, it was in the beginning. But then I met Carmen. She was raised by her single mother. Carmen was feisty. She would bust the lips of the kids who bullied me. And because we were a part of a rogue pack, there were no real rules or discipline. It was fight or get your ass beat. As we got older, Carmen's mom trained us to become warriors. Her mom was a warrior of some pack before she became pregnant. The story goes that she fell in love with a rogue wolf, Carmen's father, and left her pack. Unfortunately, he died in battle against another rogue pack, so her mom raised Carmen alone. We would train daily, early mornings before school and after we completed our homework. Eventually, we grew up to become elite warriors, and the pack relied on us for defense. When Carmen's mom died, we decided to leave. We didn't want to be anyone's shield anymore. So we left, to live our lives on our own terms. I dared not tell him about Darius, the rogue leader that wanted to mate with Carmen. That wasn't his business, nor was it my story to tell. So what about your adoptive parents? Don't they miss you? He asked, with concern etched on his face. Yes, and I miss them too. We keep in contact via email and video calls, so they know I am safe. They just don't know where we are, specifically, just in case people start questioning our whereabouts. On our way back to my house, Antonio said, I want to see you again. You see me all the time. He shook his head. You know what I mean. Are you asking for a second date, Antonio Salvino? I asked in a flirty tone. Yes, I am. Do you have a problem with that? No, I said with a sinister grin. No, what? No, to a second date? Or no, you don't have a problem with that? I chuckled. No, I don't have a problem with that. When we pulled into my driveway, Antonio asked, Can I kiss you goodnight? His brown eyes glowed in the darkness of the truck. I nodded. Antonio leaned in. His kiss was soft and warm, sending electricity through my body. When he finally pulled away, I was out of breath. His face so close to mine. You know you're mine. Antonio's voice was hoarse. You're my mate. No, I'm not. I turned my head and looked down at my hands. Are you rejecting me, Yasmeen? There was pain in his voice. No, I'm not rejecting you. I can't belong to anyone. You belong to me, and I belong to you. I know you feel the pull. I know you know what that means. You are my fated mate, Yasmeen. I can't be mated. I wouldn't look at him. Why not? He asked with a bit of anger and concern. Has someone else claimed you? No, it's not like that. If I mate, then I won't be by Carmen's side anymore. I can't have that. I will not leave her side. In a more calmed voice, he said, I understand. I won't push the issue. For now. Just know when the blood moon arrives in 3 weeks, you'll have to make a decision. You'll be in heat, and I plan on marking you that night. But I'll try to be patient until then. I jumped out of the truck and ran in the house. I didn't want him to see the tears that flowed down my cheeks. He didn't know I wanted to be claimed by him, to be mated with him. But my loyalty lies with Carmen. Carmen's POV the day of the autumn festival. Yasmeen and I decided to attend. So many booths with various foods, hay rides, pumpkin carvings. You name it, they had it. The scent of apples, cinnamon, and pumpkins filled the air. Yasmeen was eating her way through the festival. With her muscle tone and agility, she could eat just about anything and remain the same size. Ooh, look! Yasmeen excitedly pointed to their Ring the Bell game, the game where you hit with a sledgehammer to test your strength. Really, Yasmeen? Don't you think that's cheating? I won't be obvious. I'll just tap it, I swear. I knew better. Even with Yasmeen tapping the sledgehammer on the base, the puck will still shoot straight up and ring the bell. Still, we stood in line to wait our turn. So you think you're strong enough to hit the bell? Austin asked, as he and Antonio walked closer to us. I didn't sense them. Their scent must have blended with all the scents in the air. Antonio walked up to Yasmeen and immediately kissed her. Are you insinuating that I am not strong enough? I said, with my arms crossed over my chest. I'm not insinuating anything. I just asked a question. Austin retorted. Yasmeen mind-linked with me. Please show him so he can shut up. Austin paid the booth attendant. Don't feel bad if you are only able to get it halfway up. Not many people can get it on the first hit. Okay, jackass, let's see about that. I positioned myself, raised the sledgehammer, and hit the base with little effort. Ding! The puck hit the bell. I rested the sledgehammer over my shoulder. So, what were you saying about folks not being able to hit it on the first try? Austin just looked at me and smiled, those beautiful blue eyes swimming with fascination. I continued. I always hit my target. Don't let my short size fool you. I handed him the sledgehammer and started to walk off. That's my girl, Yasmeen yelled, as she and Antonio started walking behind me. Austin jogged up to catch up to my side. So, besides embarrassing men, what else do you like to do for fun? He asked me. I like anything that tests the mind and strength. Embarrassing men isn't one of them. Men do that all on their own, I retorted. I could smell the scent of pine and sandalwood coming from him. I unknowingly took a deep breath and licked my lips. Damn. Did she just lick her lips? Austin thought to himself. He wanted to take her there, in front of everyone. Make her his. Out of nowhere, someone yelled from the side. Antonio! Antonio's POV. We stopped and saw Alicia with 3 of her groupies beside her. What do you want? Who's this bitch? Yasmeen asked, pointing at Alicia with her thumb. No one. Alicia walked up to Yasmeen and slapped her across the face. First of all, who are you calling a bitch? Alicia said, raising her voice. I'm his girlfriend. Without thinking, I grabbed Alicia's neck. I wanted to snap her neck. Girlfriend? You were never my girlfriend. Just because I came down your throat once or twice doesn't make you my girlfriend. She started gasping for air. Austin put his forehead in his hand and shook his head. He knew my temper. Antonio, let her go. Carmen kept her eyes on Yasmeen. She wasn't sure what Yasmeen was going to do after just being slapped. In actuality, Carmen should have watched Antonio. The way his anger flared quickly was frightening. Alicia started crying. "You're a bastard! You know I love you." "That sounds like a personal problem, and if you ever put your hands on my mate again, I will rip your head off." I released the grip I had on Alicia's neck, then placed my hand back on Yasmeen's lower back. Yasmeen stood there smirking, but she knew not to say a word. She could feel the heat radiate due to my anger. Seeing this side of me, I could tell she suddenly became aroused. With a sly grin, I leaned down to whisper in her ear, "I can smell your arousal. You're making it hard for me to behave." "I think it's best if we all go cool down," Carmen interjected. "Good idea," replied Austin. Then he grabbed Carmen's hand and started walking. "We should go for a swim," he suggested. The warm electricity that moved up Carmen's arm made her gasp. She's never felt anything like this before. I was still angry. No one puts their hands on my mate. No one. "Brother, meet us at the lake. We're going for a swim," Austin said over his shoulder as he walked away with Carmen. "In the truck?" I asked Yasmeen through gritted teeth. "Are you okay?" "Please, that was a light tap." It almost felt like she caressed my cheek. She tried to make a joke out of it, but I was still bothered that someone touched her. "No one touches you. No one." My voice was tinged with fire. "Okay," Yasmeen replied softly. She leaned over and kissed my neck. I calmed instantly. But now my wolf wanted her to kiss our neck again. I reached over and held her hand as we drove to the lake. Austin's POV Carmen and I arrived at the lake before Antony and Carmen got there. "Are your friends going to suddenly appear from behind the trees?" Carmen asked, smiling sardonically. I chuckled. "No, they are all out enjoying the festival. You don't have to worry. Plus, this is private property. The lake is a part of my estate." Carmen suddenly felt embarrassed. "That means we were trespassing on your property. We didn't know. I am so sorry." Damn, why did she look so cute when she was embarrassed? I thought to myself. It's no problem. You guys didn't know. But now that you know, you guys can come for a swim anytime. I'll make sure no one disturbs you. I responded. "How will you know when we are here?" she asked. "I can sense you. I've sensed you since the first time you drove into town. At first, I didn't understand what it was, but later at the diner, I knew." Before Carmen could respond, she heard Antonio's truck pull up in the distance. Antonio walked up, holding Yasmeen's hand. This was the first time she saw Yasmeen allow someone to lead her. It was adorable. I started to get undressed. Carmen turned to look at me. I noticed her breath hitched. "Are you going to stare or are you going to get in? I'm fine with either or. I love the look in your eyes as you watch." Carmen choked on her breath. She started blushing. I saw her look down, then quickly darted her eyes upwards. It was hard just from her looking at me. I wanted her to know what she does to me. I smiled, then turned to get in the water. When I turned back to face the shore, I kept my gaze on her. Not to be outdone, Carmen started to undress slowly, never breaking eye contact with me. I noticed her eyes seemed to glow under the night sky as I watched her get in the water. I swam to her. The water felt warm, even though it was chilly outside. I closed the gap between us. My hardness brushed against her thigh. She tried to pull back, but I was quick. I wrapped an arm around her waist and rested my hand at the small of her back as she wrapped her arms around my neck. "You feel soft," I said. "I'm soft in a lot of places." She responded seductively. I almost lost my mind. "Don't toy with me, Carmen. I can only be a gentleman, but for so long." I leaned in and kissed her. Those lips were as soft as I imagined. With my free hand, I slid my hand between her thighs. Her center was warm. I began sliding my hand between her fold, caressing her clit with my thumb. She rested her head on my shoulder and let out a soft moan. I began sucking on her exposed neck. She wrapped her legs around my waist. I began to move my thumb in a circular motion, soft and quick. Her moans became louder. Inserting 2 fingers into the fold of her center, while still rubbing her clit, she held me tighter. I could tell her wolf went into a frenzy. Then she let out something that was a cross between a moan and a howl. Her breathing was erratic. She reached a hand below the water to hold me in her hand, but I pulled back. "No, not yet," I said, looking at her. Carmen was confused. "What? Why not?" she asked softly. "Every time I see you, I'm going to make you yearn for it until the blood moon. Since you'll be in heat, I'll make you mine, my Luna. I will let you have me, all of me. Until then, you won't be able to give me the pleasure you want to hear." Antonio's POV. I watched her sleep. She looked so peaceful as she lay in my bed. I don't know how I'm able to restrain myself. I want to wait until she gives herself freely to me, to become my mate. But damn, we trained daily, sparred until bruises bloomed like ink, and at night our wolves snuggled against each other. "Antonio, I need to tell you something, but I am not sure how you will feel about me afterwards," she said with fear in her voice. "There's nothing you can tell me that will make me turn away from you. What is it?" She took a long pause, like she was struggling with herself to tell me. "I am a bloodlust wolf," she finally admitted. The silence hung in the air. Yasmeen almost regretted saying it aloud. My love for her deepened. She trusted me enough to share that with me. "Woman, I thought you were going to tell me you were the new Jeffrey Dahmer or something. I kind of suspected that already." I reassured her. "How?" She sat up looking at me. "Underneath your sweet scent, there is a scent of metallic. Blood. So either you freshly killed someone hours before I see you, or you have bloodlust. It doesn't bother you, knowing what I am? What part of you're my mate are you not comprehending? You are mine, and I am yours. So if you are a bloodlust, then so be it. I love you. All of you, Yasmeen." She started crying in my arms. I think she must have thought I would reject her. If only she understood how much I wanted to spend the rest of my life with her. I genuinely love her. Austin's POV, the large white wolf, moved like a ghost through the trees. I watched from the ridge. I watched her shift, white with silver streaks, taller than any wolf I've ever seen, bigger than me, a dire wolf. I kept my distance. I just wanted to watch her move. She moved with precision, power, and strength. My wolf and I were captivated. The speed in which she ran was majestic. "So she's a dire wolf?" I thought to myself. No wonder she never bowed or shook in my presence. She was the only one who could look directly in my eyes and not cower. Tomorrow night is the blood moon. I can't wait to make you my mate, to mark you, to feel you deep inside. I whispered into the air. I knew she heard me. Carmen knew he was there. Her senses were unlike any other wolf. She didn't want to hide who she was anymore. So she made sure he had a clear view when she shifted and ran. Later that night at Miller's, we sat beside each other in the booth. I leaned in close and deeply inhaled her scent. "I'm glad you wore a dress tonight. Hopefully you didn't bother with panties." She smiled and sipped her drink. "You're not serious, are you? In here? People will hear me." Those dimples, they make me melt every time she smiles. I want to always make her smile. I slid a hand under the table. "Then you better keep that howl low. I told you every time I see you, what would happen?" I said with a devilish smirk on my face. To my delight, she wasn't wearing panties. I turned my head to look at her. She met my gaze, still holding her martini. I used my hand to part her thighs, then moved my finger up and down her on her clit. She put her glass down on the table, rested her head on my shoulder, and let out a soft moan. Damn, you're so wet. I brought my finger to my mouth and licked it. And you taste sweet. I went back to playing with her clit. Carmen moaned my name. Austin. I kissed her forehead. Say my name again. When she didn't comply, I rubbed faster, harder. Austin. She gripped my arm as she climaxed, her head still resting on my shoulder. Tomorrow, you're mine. You'll be in heat during the blood moon. I plan on fucking the shit out of you, I said as I kissed her forehead again, trying to catch her breath. She said, I saw you watching me today, so now you know what I am. I'm always watching you. She raised her head and looked at me. Her gaze lingered. You're always watching me, Alpha? Every second. She looked away. I saw the smile, the dimples. Darius's POV Darius smelled of blood and ego. I approached Carmen's door. She thinks she can walk away from me. When Carmen answered the door, she froze. You think you can run, little lamb? You think I wouldn't find you? I said with a sly grin. What are you doing here, Darius? She asked coldly, keeping her voice steady despite her anger rising. I came for my mate. I said, I am not your mate. Now leave. We are not a part of your pack anymore, she said as she tried to close the door. But James held the door open. I stood there with a smirk on my face. Before I leave, I think you should know your little sidekick is with the pack. So if you want her, I highly recommend you come to me tonight during the blood moon so we can solidify our bond. The color drained from Carmen's face. There's no way you have Yasmeen. She wouldn't just easily let you take her. That's the beauty of Wolfbane. It makes everything so much easier, I responded. The look of horror on her face was so gratifying. You piece of shit! What have you done with her? If you hurt her, I swear on the moon goddess I will rip you from limb to limb, she yelled. Foreplay. I like it. Just meet me tonight so we can make this official. I'll be staying at the rickety hotel in this godforsaken town. As soon as Darius left, Carmen called Antonio. He picked up on the second ring. Antonio's POV. Hey sis, what's up? They took her, she screamed into the phone. The panic in her voice made the hairs on my arms stand up. Took who? Who are they? Carmen explained everything. I could barely catch my breath. I immediately mind-linked Austin and explained everything Carmen had just told me. A howl of anger left my lips at her words. Yasmeen had been taken from under nose, right off our territory. How dare they? Austin called Carmen. She was hysterical. Calm down, we will find her. Come to the pack house, we can regroup and strategize. It wasn't long before Carmen arrived. Pacing Austin's office, I could barely contain my rage. My wolf was determined to be let out. It took everything within me not to let him loose. I needed to be level-headed. Our Luna and my mate needed me. Darius is a worthless punk, Carmen yelled. He took my Yasmeen, with Wolfbane. When I get my hands on him, his ancestors will shake with fear. Wolfbane? That shit is illegal in our territory, Austin said through gritted teeth. I was pacing and growling. Barely containing my wolf, he radiated anger, no, rage. They took my mate. They touched my mate. I let out a deep growl, more from pain than from anger. Austin asked, Antonio, are you linked with Yasmeen? No, we haven't mated yet. We were going to mate tonight during the blood moon, but I can still faintly smell her. Carmen said, I am unable to connect with her. She must be unconscious. I know she is alive, just not awake. I'm taking 50 fighters and 2 trackers to bring her back home, Antonio mentioned. Austin rested his forehead against mine. Find your mate and be safe, brother. I will notify the other alphas in surrounding territories to give you safe passage wherever you need. Thank you, brother. Then turning to Carmen, I promise you, I will find her and bring her back. I will not return without her. This is my vow. Carmen nodded. She knew I loved Yasmeen and was protective as she was. Yasmeen's POV. My head is pounding, trying to survey my surroundings. Realizing I am hog-tied in an abandoned warehouse with a wicked headache. I can hear their voices. I didn't open my eyes as the pain pulsated behind them. I sniffed the air in hopes to get an understanding of where I was and how many people were nearby. I didn't recognize this air. The wind smells different. I can smell members of the previous rogue pack. "Okay, Miss Thing, time to shine," I said to my wolf. "We'll make them regret this. But first, we rest up, girl." Yasmeen forces herself to go back to sleep. 3 hours earlier, I was in town in line at a coffee shop, getting my usual iced Americano with a double shot of espresso. Because wolves have a high tolerance for human substances, to feel the effect of anything, it requires a double dose, sometimes a quadruple dose. Within minutes of consuming the third sip, I realized something was wrong. My head started spinning. Shit! Something has been slipped into my drink. Wolfbane. But how? Who? I thought to myself. Darius's goons paid the barista to add a special ingredient into my drink. The barista was one of Alicia's stupid groupies. They took me across the border to Calgary, Canada. We were in Alpha Grayson's territory. After an hour of rest, I woke up and realized the wolfbane had decreased in my system. Since none of them knew I was a bloodlust wolf, the amount of wolfbane that would take down a normal wolf would need to be doubled for me. The regular amount just makes me sleepy for a couple hours. "She's waking up!" I heard one of the guards yell out to another. They walked closer to me and stood there. In a false, groggy voice, I asked, "Where am I? Who are you guys?" I know they are a part of Darius's pack, because they have that familiar stench. One of the guards bent down so his face was close to my face. "Well, pretty little thing, I'm surprised to see you're awake. Most are usually down for days." "Do you mind backing up a bit? Your breath smells like you've been licking your own ass," I said with a disgusted look on my face. That was an ultimate insult. It's referring to a wolf to the mannerism of a dog. The other guard laughed out loud. Feeling insulted, the guard kicked me in the face. Blood started pouring from my now split lip. I just smiled and looked at him. "Now that's not nice, little doggy." I needed him to entice my bloodlust with more blood. It didn't matter whose blood it was. I continued. "Damn, why so sensitive? It's not my fault your breath smells. Was it because you licked his ass?" Motioning my head to the other guard. Kicked me in my side. "You filthy bitch. You have a lot to say. Maybe I should just cut your tongue out." Then he pulled out a switchblade. "Wow, that knife is small. Is everything about you small? Small knife, small brain, small... You know what?" The guard plunged the knife in my thigh and dragged the knife downward to leave a 6-inch open gash. I threw my head back and screamed in pain. Then brought my face forward, gazed in the guard's eyes, and started laughing. "Thank you so much. I need that," I said. The guards looked at each other confused. "She's fucking crazy." The one that laughed blurted out, "Thank you for your service, you stupid sons of a bitches," I snarled, voice barely human. "You hunted the wrong fucking wolf." My eyes turned completely red, then shifted. Bones cracked, muscles tore and reknit. Brown and copper fur, streaked with tan, burst from her skin. My growl shook the warehouse. The men looked terrified. Too afraid to shift, they ran outside. Antonio's POV. The two trackers picked up Yasmeen's scent. "Beta Antonio, we have her scent. She is in Alpha Grayson's territory," said one of the trackers through the mind link. "Pick up speed. We need to get to her," I replied. The speed in which the pack was running, we'd reach her in about 45 minutes. It would have normally taken well over an hour. Antonio mind-linked Isaac, Alpha Grayson's beta. "Isaac, my mate has been taken to your territory and is being held." We were informed by Alpha Austin that you may need our help. We smelled unfamiliar rogues on our territory early this morning. The scent is coming from the abandoned oil fields, close to the border. Our fighter team is on the way to meet you guys there. We'll provide backup. Thanks, Isaac. We'll be there in about 30 minutes. Same. The sight that greeted us was nothing we were prepared for. Our pack stood on one side, while Isaac's fighter pack stood on the opposite side. Yasmeen stood tall in full wolf form with red eyes. Blood dripped from her mouth and fur. Mangled and dismembered wolf body parts lay scattered across the ground. Blood sprayed like art. She was lost in it, but controlled. She ripped through muscle, tendon, fury. She was in the middle of shredding the last wolf into pieces. It wasn't even a fair fight. The rogue wolf had no chance. At one point, she threw a limb in the air and jumped up to catch it midair. She was playing with the body parts. I stood motionless, intrigued and proud. To see her in action would have scared most, but it only deepened my love for her. Beta Isaac cleared his throat to get Yasmeen's attention. Immediately, she realized she wasn't alone. Engrossed in her kill, she became oblivious when we approached. She shifted back to her human form. Now standing naked and blooded, she bowed her head to Beta Isaac. "Sorry, Beta. I seem to have made a mess in your territory," she said with glee in her voice. Clearly, she wasn't sorry. She enjoyed herself too much to be sorry. "And here we thought we were coming to rescue you. It seems like they needed rescuing," he said with a chuckle. "So you're a bloodlust wolf? What's your name? What tribe are you from?" "My name is Yasmeen Cater. I am not a part." "She is a part of the Cedar Crestwood pack," I chimed in, cutting her off. Yasmeen turned around and saw me. She lowered her head in embarrassment. She wasn't sure what I would think of her, after seeing her in her bloodlust form. I continued, "She is my mate. She is soon to become the beta female of the Cedar Crestwood pack." "Well then, Antonio, I hope you know you are about to have your hands full," Isaac said jokingly. Somehow he knew these two would be perfect for each. He sensed their love for each other. "Yes, I am aware, and I will gladly take whatever she gives," I replied, gazing into Yasmeen's eyes. "Well then, we're off. Congratulations, Antonio," Isaac said as he and his pack left. Yasmeen walked to me and hugged my neck. "Do you have the energy to run back home? We need to get back to Austin and Carmen. They are dealing with Darius." Yasmeen nodded. "Absolutely. I want to see Carmen snap that piece of shit in half." Antonio mind-linked with Austin. "We have Yasmeen. She is safe. We are heading back your way." We shifted back to our wolf form and headed back to Ludneck. Running in unison, our furs, similar in color, flowed in the wind as we ran. Austin's POV. Now that Yasmeen was safe, Carmen's wolf was antsy. She wanted to finally deal with Darius. "Darius, you win. I will mate with you tonight. Come back to my house. I would rather do it here away from the humans." After Carmen hung up the phone, she looked at Austin. I stood there with my hands curled into tight fists. My knuckles cracked. "I know it's not true, but it still pisses me off hearing you say to another man that you would mate with him." Carmen replied, "I know. Don't worry, this will be over soon." My wolf was feeling ruthless. I could smell Carmen's heat starting to rise as the dusk was settling in. I needed this bullshit over soon, so I could mate with her during the blood moon. 45 minutes later, Darius arrived at Carmen's driveway. 3 cars pulled up the dirt road behind him. His pack got out of the cars and walked up to the house. "Why the audience?" Carmen asked. "Just in case you want to be stupid, they are here to ensure we are not disturbed," Darius said with a cocky grin on his face. "Before we get started, where is Yasmeen?" Carmen asked in a calm voice, pretending she didn't know her and Antonio were on their way. "She is in good hands with the pack?" he snorted. "Are you sure?" I asked, coming around the side of the house. Darius looked angry. Who the hell are you? I'm the one you pissed off. I am Austin Palmer, alpha of the Cedar Crestwood pack. You intruded on my territory. You took my beta female, and you have the fucking audacity to come for my Luna. Fear was visible in Darius's eyes. He hadn't realized he was on Cedar Crestwood territory. He tried to connect with his guards in Canada that were holding Yasmeen. He realized he fucked up. As much as I would love to tear you apart from limb to limb myself, I promised my alpha the honors, as long as I had a front row seat, Carmen said with a sadistic smile on her face. In minutes, Antonio, Yasmeen, and the fighter pack had arrived. James stood a distance away from Yasmeen, but addressed her. Good to see you again, Yasmeen. Aren't you looking colorful? Antonio shifted back to human and stepped forward in front of Yasmeen. Who said you could talk to my mate? James snarled. Your mate, please. When we get done here, she'll be all of our mates. You think your little love bond makes you strong? That was the worst thing he could have said, before anyone had a chance to blink. Antonio shifted midair and lunged for James. In synchronized precision, Antonio and I attacked our prey. Darius tried to call for his pack to assist in attacking. Before they had a chance to step forward, Carmen had shifted into her dire wolf. Darius was distracted by the shift, seeing what she became. Distracted, I leaped forward at Darius's neck and severed his head from his body. The rogue pack was terrified and began running. Now it was time for Carmen and Yasmeen to show their skills. Yasmeen, being quick and agile, was able to get in front of the path of the rogues. She cut off their escape. Yasmeen grinned, eyes glowing. Let's dance, bitches. Carmen's movements were quick. She took down 2 and 3 wolves at a time, with ease. Within minutes, the battle was over. Carmen and Yasmeen rejoined Austin and the pack. The Cedar Crestwood pack bowed as Carmen walked by, still in her dire wolf form. Antonio shifts back into his human form. Wait, you're a dire wolf? Pointing at Carmen. And you're a bloodlust wolf? Now pointing towards Yasmeen. You're a bloodlust wolf, I asked, shocked. It seems like we have a lot to talk about later, but not tonight. The blood moon will rise soon, said Carmen. Yasmeen's POV James licked his lips at me. That was his last mistake. I didn't see when Antonio lunged at him. The way Antonio attacked, fierce and precise. He didn't go for James's neck initially, as most wolves would. His attack technique was impeccable. Antonio went behind James and ripped one of his back legs right off. It was so quick. The delay of the sound of flesh ripping was a 2-second delay. Before James could scream in pain, Antonio circled to the front and bit off a big chunk of James's neck. You could hear the neck bones crush in Antonio's jaws. I stood frozen, my mouth wide open. I've never seen him use that technique during our sparring sessions. I don't know if it was his strength or his savagery, but my wolf whimpered with desire. Austin's POV, I sent the pack back to the pack house. I carried Carmen back inside, her wolf form curled against my chest. I stroked her fur as she shifted back, naked and relaxed in my arms. It's astounding how large her wolf is, while her human form is petite. That lets me know she can endure such powerful force. Why didn't you tell me she was a bloodlust wolf? I whispered, as her head lay against my chest. Would you have trusted a rogue bloodlust? No, but I would have trusted my mate, I replied. I kissed her like a promise, like redemption. After the shower, I watched her apply body butter all over her body. I stood naked in the crimson darkness of her bedroom. My eyes followed every movement of her hands. So that's the secret to your soft skin. Apply the cream a little slower. I want to see every motion, I said, staring at her. Just watching made my cock so hard. My wolf wanted to leap for her. It ached for her, but I held it back. I stroked my large shaft as I watched her hands move slowly over her body. When she was done, I buried my face into her neck and inhaled deeply. She whispered my name, Austin. Her voice barely audible above the sound of her racing heart. Her breathing became rapid, thus causing my body to harden even more. Her heat heightened as the blood moon was high above the night sky. Her body responded to my touch. I told you what would happen tonight. You are mine, my Luna. My voice was low with a deep growl. I lifted her up and she wrapped her legs around me. Then I carried her across the room to her bed. I laid her gently. My fingers traced her inner thighs teasingly. She squirmed from my touch. I slid 2 fingers between her folds. She was so wet. I licked my fingers. You taste so sweet, I growled. I could feel her heat rising to an intense level. My tongue worshipped her, sliding between her thighs until she trembled. She grabbed a fistful of my hair. I devoured her nectar like it was the serum to everlasting life, feeding my desires, nourishing me. I sucked harder until I felt every nerve pulsate in her body. She let out a ferocious howl, tangled with my name. Her back arched off the bed. Her legs trembled and clamped around my head. When my head rose, she leaned forward and licked her nectar off my face. That made my head spin. I grabbed her thighs and pulled them apart, revealing her core. Without hesitation, I thrusted into her. She dug her nails into my back. I felt a warm liquid trickle down my back. I wanted to feel both her pain and pleasure, as she felt mine. Carmen let out a soft yell with each thrust, deep and brutal. She came fast and hard. The way she clenched down on me, I damn near lost it. But I was not going to let this night end until the sun rose. My body continued to pound into hers. Her nails dug further into my back. She tilted her head to the side, exposing her neck. Alpha, she whispered. I am your Luna. Take me, mark me. I marked what was mine. The taste of her blood was sweeter than I had expected. Her taste in my mouth and me inside her was euphoria. She leaned forward. I gave her my neck. Her bite was powerful. Carmen cried out as I moved in deep, then rough with need. My lips traced fire across her skin, murmuring, You're mine, all of you. Every thrust made the ground beneath us tremble. Her moans were music. My growls were thunder. Our bodies intertwined, rhythmic, primal, intense. I couldn't hold back. I spilled my warmth inside her. Yasmeen's POV, Antonio kissed me like he was afraid he was going to lose me. Mouths devouring. Towels dropping. He dropped to his knees and spread me open with a hunger that made my legs shake. His tongue was relentless, worshipping my slick folds, licking and sucking until I begged. Trembling, my orgasm came crashing like wildfire. He worshipped my body with rough tenderness. His mouth tasted every scar, every moan coaxed like a confession. He flipped me over, bent me over the bed, and thrust into me from behind, deep and brutal. Deep. Hard. My cries echoed into the night. Mine, he growled. Fucking prove it, I snarled, gripping the sheets. He did, again and again, until I could barely stand, legs shaking, body marked in bruises and pleasure. How are you able to still keep going? What the fuck are you? I asked between short breaths. He released a feral growl into the dark room. I'll let you know when I'm done with you. You're still dripping. I'll be done when you can no longer move. I cried out, trembling, as he started to move again, slow, punishing thrusts. Letting instincts take over, I marked him first. There was fire in his blood. I licked the wound I just gave him, claimed him. He flipped me onto my back. His gray eyes glowed with desire. Then do it. Just don't stop. Pleasure exploded through my torso. He growled, titled my neck for complete access, and bit down. Tell me who you belong to, he said. Answer me, Yasmeen. I tried to speak, but I couldn't make a sound. He snapped. Say it! He pounded harder. I whispered, I belong to you, Antonio. I will always belong to you. I lost count on how many times he made me lose control. Head tilted, blood still trickling down my collarbone. The scent of blood awakened my bloodlust. My growl, thick with need. He made me scream into the night. Again and again. Every climax left me gasping. We collapsed together on the floor, tangled and panting. Wrapped in sheets and sweat, I whispered, "I'll burn the world before I lose you." Making love beneath the blood moon, wolf senses sharpened, every touch igniting 1,000 nerves. It wasn't just sex. It was claiming. It was a ceremony. Carmen's POV. The first snow of the season came early. The council was to arrive in 3 days. I was now Luna of the Cedar Crestwood pack, and Yasmeen, their beta female. We would need to be officially accepted after the ceremony. I knew I had to prepare myself. The council wouldn't make this easy for us. Austin had noticed my quietness. He held me tighter at night, his arms anchoring me to a world that suddenly felt safe, accepting. Never in the history both a dire and a bloodlust wolf reigned together at the helm of a pack. Would the council really accept us? "It's not over," I said, standing in front of the large window in his bedroom at the Alpha House, resting my head on his chest. Austin kissed my forehead. Over the next few days, I studied everything I could. Ancient myths, wolf songs, fragments of oral traditions passed down through dire lines. This made me miss my mom even more. She never got the chance to teach everything I'd need to know. The Alpha House was a treasure trove of information. It contained a library of old books, scrolls, and teachings of ancient ways. Elizabeth, Austin's mother, comes by to help me research. She shared whatever information she knew that was passed down through family stories, folklore, or teachings. "You are exactly what he needed. What we needed," his mother said. "He is what I needed." "I love him," I replied. "I know you do. Anyone can feel it when you two are around each other." I smiled. The night before the council arrived, I dreamt of the sound of drums, a sky burning with violet fire, wolves kneeling before me. Something inside me pulsed like a heartbeat. Not fear. Destiny. Antonio's POV, the council arrived under full moonlight. Alphas, betas, blood mages, and elders from every major pack across the continent gathered at the ridge were summoned. They rode into Cedar Crestwood under the Alliance and Curiosity. Carmen, being a dire wolf, had shaken the fragile hierarchy. The council had convened for the first time in over a decade. Rumors of Carmen and Yasmeen's true forms traveled fast, and fear traveled faster. "We have a dire wolf, and the other is a bloodlust wolf," growled old Marlin. "Neither kind has been seen in centuries. Can either be controlled?" "Neither is a threat," Austin snapped. "You sure?" Austin stood. "One is my mate, and both are our future." Carmen and Yasmeen were dressed in white flowing gowns, their presence overwhelming. Neither cowered, didn't bow. Carmen's eyes held the fury of storms. Austin stepped forward to announce, "Carmen Bordeaux is no longer a rogue," he said. "She is my fated mate, my Luna. She is the Luna of the Cedar Crestwood pack." All the alphas and betas began to howl in acceptance and acknowledgement of the moonlight. Standing in the center of the sacred circle of 12, Carmen and Yasmeen were holding hands. "Tonight, we acknowledge the gift given to us by the moon goddess, a dire wolf. It has been centuries since a dire wolf has been seen by any pack. And here we have one as a new Luna." One of the council members spoke. There were howls. "But," the council continued, "we cannot accept the bloodlust wolf as a beta." "What?" I shouted. My wolf growled. "She is my chosen beta, my fated mate. Never have we allowed a bloodlust to be a part of a pack, let alone hold the title of power. They are unreliable, controlled by their bloodlust. They could turn on the pack at any time," replied the council member. "She is to be the female beta of Cedar Crestwood," I shouted back. Enough, shouted another council member. The decision has been made. Carmen's POV. My anger surged like an explosive volcano. How dare you? My voice was loud, echoed across the ridge. I almost didn't recognize the sound of my own voice. The place became still and eerily quiet. No sounds of the night, nor the wind could be heard. It was like space and time froze around us. My body began to glow with a white aura. My eyes, black, swimming with anger like the raging sea in a storm. You call yourselves elders, but you know nothing of the ancient ways. This way of thinking is why there are rogues to begin with. The separation, the discrimination, the divide. Perpetuated by this ignorance passed down from lineage to lineage. One of the council members tried to speak, but realized their throat could not release any sound. I continued. I am a dire wolf. The blood that runs through me is more ancient than all of you elders put together. You cast out a bloodlust because of ignorance. Her blood is as old as time. I am Luna, yes. I am a dire wolf, yes. But I am not, nor will I ever be a coward. We are all the same species, and yet you cast away what you do not understand, what you do not respect. Austin will always be my alpha. Cedar Crestwood will always be my home. But I will step down as Luna if you do not acknowledge Yasmeen as its female beta. Everyone's eyes widened. No one has ever voluntarily stepped down as Luna before. I release the hold in the air. She cannot be controlled. She is a rogue and a bloodlust, yelled a council member once they regained use of their voice. Her name is Yasmeen, and you will acknowledge her as so. Yasmeen has fought by my side in battles some of you would never survive, and she would do the same for this pack as the female beta. Yes, she is a bloodlust wolf. So what? Never has Yasmeen ever lost control of her wolf. Never has Yasmeen hurt or killed anyone that wasn't deserving. You either accept her, or you don't accept me. That is my word. The force of my voice shattered a boulder in the distance. The place erupted in chatter and chaos. Austin tried to step forward, but the enchanted ring around the circle prevented him from entering. Besides you, who can vouch for her, vouch that she is worthy of becoming the female beta of Cedar Crestwood? Asked a council member. Before Antonio could step forward, a voice shouted in the crowd, I can vouch for her. It was Isaac, beta to the Grayson pack. I have seen her in battle. She is vicious, yes, but deliberate and controlled. I, beta of the Grayson pack, will vouch for her. I, Perry Grayson of the Grayson pack, will vouch for her. If my beta says she is worthy, then I will stand by her. Alpha Perry stood forward. Very well then. Yasmeen will need to go through the trials to prove her worthiness. Who will volunteer to go against her in the final challenge? Asked a council member. No one stepped forward. It was obvious there was fear in their hearts. I will challenge her. Antonio stepped forward. Never has a male beta challenged his female beta. Impossible. A male beta cannot challenge his female beta, said the council member. Nowhere it is written in the laws that a male beta cannot challenge his female beta, I said. There was thick tension in the air. I turned to Yasmeen, gave her a kiss on her forehead. You don't need to kill him. Just make him yield. You got this. I winked at her, then walked out of the circle. Yasmeen's POV. I was trembling when Carmen stepped out of the circle. I fought in the trials, not for dominance, but for proof that I belonged. My first challenger was an elder shifter from the Eastern Glacier, a senior wolf with ice-kissed claws. The fight was brutal. I dodged, struck, bled, then whispered the words Antonio once told me, win dirty if clean won't cut it. I overtook my opponent with a feint, dropped to a knee, and drove my elbow into his throat. The crowd gasped. The Eastern Glacier Alpha yielded, got up, and nodded in respect. The final challenge came. An ancient duel. Bones versus legacy. Antonio stepped in the circle. I didn't want to fight him. but no one else stepped forward for the final challenge. "Hey, baby, it's just you and me. Think of this like one of our sessions. Show them you are a force to be reckoned with," Antonio said. A tear rolled down my cheek when I closed my eyes. I heard him shift. I took a deep breath and shifted. When I opened my eyes, they were red. Everyone gasped. Antonio charged towards me. He didn't hold back. One by one, I met each strike with fury, intellect, and eventually, brute force. I was exhausted, bruised but standing. My roar cracked the surrounding trees. And for the first time in generations, a bloodlust wolf stood victorious before the council. The challenge was finally over. Still in my wolf form, I sat on my hind legs. Intentionally. I wanted them to see me in my true form. Yasmeen Carter, you have proven without a shadow of a doubt you belong. We acknowledge and accept you as the female beta of the Cedar Crestwood pack, announced a council member Marlin. Antonio came to cover me in a blanket as I shifted back to my human body. I heard the alphas and betas howl in acceptance. Carmen stood before them, flanked by Austin and I with Antonio. The old order watched with acknowledgement. "I am Carmen, daughter of Celine Bordeaux, born of an ancient bloodline, Luna of Cedar Crestwood." She shifted, her dire wolf rising massive and white against the night sky. I stood beside her, shifting back into my wolf. Austin and Antonio shift and howled in unison. The forest answered. Behind her, wolves gathered. They bowed with quiet reverence. The age of the old packs was ending. Something wilder, new was born. Antonio's POV Yasmeen tossed a bloodied training blade onto the ground. I pushed her harder than usual that morning. "Trying to kill me, Romeo?" she snarled, wiping sweat from her temple. "You said you wanted a challenge." She smirked. "You're barely won." We stood toe-to-toe, panting. Then I yanked her into a kiss, hard and bruising. "You keep pushing like this," I growled against her lips, "and I'll fuck you right here in the dirt." "Do it," she whispered, biting my lip. "I dare you." Moments later, we were tangled in the grass. Her moans mixed with the wind, her nails clawing my back as I pounded into her, teeth grazing her throat. I was hers, and she was mine. But something in her blood stirred, restless, ancient. Later, as she lay in the grass, she whispered, "I think I'm changing." My breath hitched. "You mean like evolving?" Yasmeen closed her eyes. "I think my birth parents were more than just rogues." I kept Yasmeen close that night, tracing my fingers over the faded scars on her back. I kissed each one, reverently. "You're not just strong," he whispered. "You're something else, something rare." Carmen's POV. I stood at the edge of the lake when I saw my reflection shift. A vision of myself with glowing eyes, cradling a child wrapped in a white light and fur. Footsteps broke the vision. Behind me, Austin approached. "There you are." "I think I'm pregnant," I blurted out. He stared. "Carmen?" He dropped to his knees and kissed my stomach. Austin knelt beside me. "I called a pack meeting," he said. Austin's POV, I addressed the pack under the old cedar. Everyone circled the fire pit, watching him. "Your Luna is carrying my child, a child that might be the next alpha." Cheers. Howls. Yasmeen broke protocol and ran up to Carmen and hugged her tightly. I let out a growl. "Careful, she's pregnant." I know, Yasmeen said between sniffles. "I'm going to be an auntie." I couldn't help but smile when she said that. Epilogue. Carmen's POV 7 months later. The scent of summer hid in the air, warm and refreshing. I sat at the edge of the ridge, wrapped in a flannel that barely shielded me from the early morning Montana chill. My hand rested on my protruding belly. My body pulsed. The baby's arrival is approaching. I went into labor early. My body burned. Austin held me, refusing to leave my side. A midwife and 3 nurses from the pack were helping with the delivery. "Push, baby, you're strong, stronger than any of them," Austin said while holding my hand. I screamed. Outside, the howls began. Yasmeen stood guard outside the room, her copper-coated wolf form rippling with tension. Antonio flanked her, fully shifted. Lightning split the sky above the Montana ridge. My screams echoed across the land, raw and primal, as the first baby began to emerge. Austin held my hand, his other arm bracing my back. "You're doing it, love. Just breathe." My body arched. My wolf threatened to break free in the midst of labor, to help with the pain, but I held on. The first baby's cry reverberated throughout the house. A boy. Yasmeen shifted back into her human form, mid-stride, tears glistening on her cheek like war paint. Soon after, a second cry. This one, a little softer. A girl. Yasmeen's eyes filled with tears. "They're here. They're finally here." Austin's POV, I knelt beside Carmen as she bore down once more. And then their cries pierced the night. Not Carmen's, but my children. Created in love, fueled by desire. Silence fell over the house. Then, howling. Wolves from every territory, as far as the east appeared. Dozens emerged from the shadows. They all came to welcome the new babies. I looked down and saw my son and daughter. The babies' eyes opened, and they glowed bright blue, rimmed with gold. Carmen cradled the babies in her arms as they lay quietly in her arms, basking in her warmth. Still bleeding, still broken, but powerful. Radiant. "Our son Solace," she whispered. "Our daughter Celine." The moon pulsated. A new lineage of dire wolves were born. Back at the Alpha House, I stirred in bed, my hand trailing the sheets where she'd lain. She was sitting up, leaning against the headboard, each baby suckling on a breast. I never knew my heart could hold this much love. My Luna, my children, my pack.